So congratulations on making it to the end of chapter 5. This last app is just a bit of fun really, and it shouldn't be too tricky for you to make. The user interface is very, very simple. It just has a simple label telling the user to shake their device, and then when they do, it picks a random sound from a collection of downloaded sounds and then plays that sound. Simple as that. You can obviously change the nature of the app a little bit by choosing the type of sounds that you download. And I'm going to recommend that you get your sounds from freesfx.com. There are a bunch of other free sound sites out there, so feel free to use another one if you like, but this one is completely free. You do need to sign up to it, but when you do, you get access to a whole range of sound effects. I'd recommend downloading around 8 or 10, and then, as I say, we want the app to simply play a random sound when the user shakes their device. Simple as that. Go for it, and best of luck. All right, hope you managed that. I'm going to start, of course, by creating a new project. And, of course, single view application. And we'll call this Sound Shaker. And while that's compiling, I'll jump over to freesfx.com and download a few sound effects. I like the sound of that one. And I'm going to put these in a new folder called Sounds and just simplify the names as I download them. Okay, so let's just do a few of those. We'll go for shoot, explosion, a knife throw. Let's get a few musical ones in there. That'll do. A boing. A warble. A hit. And let's do the trumpet wah sound as well. Great, okay. So that will do for my sound effects. So let's head back to Xcode and then jump over to Finder to drag in those sounds. And we can actually drag in the whole folder, which is generally a good idea if you've got a large number of similar files to bring in. It doesn't make a mess of your file structure. So let's start off by having just a little tiny bit of a user interface. So we'll have just a single label telling the user what to do. So we'll center it. And we'll have the text, "Shake it, baby," to give the user a clue what they should be doing. And I think let's choose a slightly more fun font than usual. Party, excellent. Okay, so let's stretch that out, center. And then we'll just center horizontally and vertically. And we'll set the width and height as well. Great. Everything else is going to be done in viewcontroller.swift. And we'll start by setting up our motion ended method. And again, we're going to check to see if event.subtype is equal to UI event subtype dot motion shake. Then for now, let's just play a single file. So we'll let our file location be equal to bundle.main.path for resource. And interestingly, you don't even need to put the sounds folder in. We just put the name. So in this case, I'll just choose Boing and the type, and it will look through all your folders to find the file. And then we use our do try catch. And again, we'll just put a message here, process the error. And we're going to try to set the player, which we haven't defined yet. So let's define that first. So we'll set the player equal to AV audio player. And we're doing everything in a slightly backward order this time. So let's put in the AV foundation as well. All right, so now we're going to set the player equal to AV audio player. And we want contents of the URL. And we're going to generate a URL from the file path. So file URL with path. And that's file location. And then this time, we don't need any controls over the sound. We just want to play it. So let's just run that and make sure that we get a sound. And here we go. Our nice message telling us to shake. And there we go. Excellent. There's our boing. So now all we need to do is set up a little bit of randomness so we can choose one of these sounds at random. There it goes again. I think I'll stop that just in case. So what we'll do is we'll set up an array of sounds. Which is just going to be the file names. So boing, explosion, hit, knife, shoot, swish, wah, and warble. And then we want to choose randomly from these sounds. So let's generate a random number. And we want a random integer between 0 and 1 less than however many of these there are. That's actually pretty easy to do. We use arc for random uniform. And then the number that we want there is sound array dot count. But arc4random uniform takes a particular type of integer, which is a uint32. A uint32 is a 4-byte integer. And if you know your bytes and bits, you'll know that a byte is 8 bits. So a 4-byte integer is 32 bits, which is where the 32 in uint32 comes from. So this will give us a random number between 0 and this number minus 1. But we want to make sure we get an integer between those limits, because obviously we need a whole number to access one of these entries in the sound array. So then all we do is we replace the file name there with sound array random number. And that's it. Let's give it a go. We should get a hilarious sound effect whenever we shake the phone. And here we go. So let's give it a shake. And there it was. I'm not sure which sound that was, but let's try it again. Again, not sure which that one was, but it was definitely a different one. And one for luck. And there it is. Wonderful. So that brings us to the end of this section, and just have a moment to think about how much you've learned in this section alone. We started off manipulating images at the beginning of the section, creating animations, and eventually making the noughts and crosses game. Then we started integrating maps into our apps, adding pins and messages, and then getting the user's location. We built 2 location-based apps. The Location Aware app, which showed the user their precise location, altitude, direction, speed, and their nearest address, and the Memorable Places app, which was by far the most complex app we'd made so far, and allowed users to store information about their favorite places permanently. Then we moved on to manipulating audio. We built our back-to-back player, and finally we learned about swipes and shakes and built our Sound Shaker app. So that's a huge amount of new knowledge, so congratulations for taking it all in. And as always at the end of a section, take a break, congratulate yourself, and come back renewed, because there's a whole lot more to learn coming up in section 6. See you there.